With him, Glenn Chadwick, Cameron Everins, and Matt Crane. The 4. Originally it was 6 in the breakaway. Now it is down to 4. Will it still be those 4 when we hit the line? Taking a look at the winners by stage here at the Amgen Tour California, it was Cancellara winning the prologue last weekend. Mancebo in his breakaway in stage number 1 put him in the yellow jersey, and then Tom Peterson wins in stage 2. So Levi Leipheimer, who finished second, took over the yellow jersey that day. Tor Hushovd won in the sprint finish in stage 3. Then it was Mark Cavendish yesterday in stage number 4. So the spoils have been mixed up throughout the peloton, which is good. When you come to any sort of stage race, you hope that a number of the different teams get to taste in the victory, and that's exactly what's happened. What's happened out on the road of late is that the 6-man breakaway is now whittled down to 4, weaning Evans, Crane, and Chadwick out in front. Bob Roll has made it to Paso Robles. He's finally got a chance to kick back and reflect as well as relax.
Stage 5 of the Amgen Tour of California will finish in Paso Robles this year. It's always been known as an agricultural community and mineral hot springs. Started out as an almond capital, as well as a ranching community. But nowadays it's wine that dominates, the most lucrative crop in the world today. And very, very good wines come from this region. It's not known for its beer anymore. The Belgians prefer the beer. The Belgians also prefer the rainy conditions that we often see in Northern Europe in the early season. But I have a feeling that one Belgian enjoys the sunshine that California has today, and that's Big Tom Boonen. Watch him to be firing during the stage today in the sprint. And perhaps, if that's the case and he wins, enjoying a little bit of wine with dinner and his teammates.
We'll find out soon enough whether Tom Boonen prefers Bob Roll as a bald when he does his interview at the end of either today's stage or tomorrow. The peloton continuing to drive that pace. They know that they're running out of real estate. Only about 12 miles to go in this stage.
Well, the saying the gap is at 2 minutes 10 seconds, Paul, and at just on 20 kilometers to go, your formula is in danger of blowing up.
I don't think so. This is big Adam Hansen on the front end of the main field. I have complete and utter confidence in my calculator and my ability to calculate and predict the catch that's going to happen this afternoon, and I'm expecting that to happen today at around about 9 kilometers to go.
He's a bit like the Mark Cavendish of the broadcast booth,
Arrogant.
isn't he?
Yes, that's right. Well, I want these 4 to win. They deserve to win. They've been in the lead virtually the whole day today, and they've ridden pretty quickly, to say the least. Here comes the news from Rock Racing, who no longer can pass out drinks, but he can pass out information. And he's going to tell them about 2 minutes, or we're going to see less than 2 minutes. Let's have a look at the road. Up the road. Can't see anybody up the road. Yes, well, nobody. Not looking good, Paul.
They're coming in from
There's the 2 chasers.
side.
They're way off. A long way. They'll never bridge that gap.
There
they are.
Yeah, there they are. They're stretched out into a very long line here.
Still feel confident?
I do feel confident.
Oh, arrogant,
absolutely.
That's the word, Craig. You're
absolutely and utterly confident. You look at the pressure and the faces of those guys on the front end of the main field.
That's because they made a big mistake. They've gone quiet now.
Absolutely.
They've made a big mistake today. Totally misjudged it. They're going to need to send more riders up here, and more riders need to swap turns. They're going to have to hit pretty high speeds now. We think they're 20 kilometers to go because we haven't seen any road signs to this effect. But judging by where we're passing, that's around about 12 miles out.
And you're absolutely right, Phil. We're just getting word on race radio that they have passed 20 kilometers to go, so we're within 12 miles.
Ooh.
And so the length of ground they have to work with is narrowing at rapid pace.
Well, there's the main field now coming onto that same long straight as well, and still stretched out into a very long line. And this now is the part of the course that will be ideal for the main peloton to keep the pace nice and high and keep a good organization at the front end of the pack.
There's plenty of teams realizing they can win it, are willing to work. Tom Boonen, Mark Cavendish, Tor Hushovd, JJ Haido. They're all going to be sitting down in the pack. They're saying, gosh, I hope these teammates of ours can do this. It's looking a bit shaky right now.
Well, that's the art of the game here. The look at Tom
Here's
Bowden
Tom.
there.
How's he look? He looks like a man who's beaten to me.
He looks like a man who wants to win the bike race here this afternoon to me. Just behind Kevin Hulsman's his teammate, who will probably be one of his pilot fish as we run into town.
Tom is resigned here to a day off. You can tell the way he took that drink. He thinks, well, if we don't catch him, what the heck? I've got a sprint.
We haven't seen the green jerseys of Liquigas, though, Paul, have we, near the front, and that's surprising since Kiki, their sprinter, should have a pretty good chance if they get him up there.
Well, there's Ivan Basso, a little chat there. Everyone's coming up alongside Tom Bowden from Team Quickstep to find out just exactly how their man is feeling here this afternoon. They will be charging along this road here at pretty close to 52, 53 kilometers an hour.
This is the fast descent to the line, 134-mile stage. Always, it seems, the final few miles are the most tense, and that is where the drama unfolds. When we come back, we're going to have the owner of Columbia High Road with us. That is Bob Stapleton. He'll join us in the booth, and we'll talk perhaps a little bit more Mark Cavendish. One of the best sprinters in the world hopes to make it 2 in a row today. He won stage number 4. Today is stage number 5 into Paso Robles, hoping that his Columbia High Road team sets him up perfectly yet again. Before the Amgen Tour California, we got a chance to join Mark and his Columbia High Road teammates in Solvang.
We've got the great camaraderie in our team, unbelievable camaraderie, and that's what makes our team special, I think.
I think one thing about cyclists, we don't really grow up, you know, it's like going on camp every week when you go away with the team.
When you spend 200 days a year on the road, if you're not with the right guys, it can be really hard. But when you're with guys like the people in Team Columbia, you know, it makes it so much more worthwhile to be away from home.
Solvang's a really beautiful place, you know, it's quite animated. It's like a little Denmark. But when you get out training, it's beautiful rolling roads. It's beautiful to ride in, seeing the wooden beamed houses with the mountains in the back with the snow. It's quite a beautiful sight at the end of a ride, actually.
Good.
I don't ride my bike to end up in glossy magazines. I think I'd be lying if I said I enjoyed it. It comes with the job now, you know. Part of me winning means that I'm known more. With that comes the attention that I have to bring, so it's going to come as a natural progression, but, you know, it's something I have to do. I'm successful because I ride my bike, and, you know, as long as it doesn't take away from me riding my bike, then I'm happy.
So you all set? Anything we can do this morning?
Not fine, thank you.
Mark is really probably the next big thing in the sport. Great success at the tour, tremendous talent, great personal character.
He's got many similar qualities to Lance as far as personality goes, and obviously different strengths on the bike, but he's very confident in his ability, and he's done amazing last year and the year before that, and we expect big things from him this year.
California is a big race for our team, for our team owner, and for me personally. You know, I think I've got stuff to prove there after getting disqualified last year, and I'll be on a mission, and the team will be on a mission.
The team certainly has been on a mission since its inception. This is what Mark Cavendish has done during the Amgen Tour of California. He came close in stage number 3, but in stage number 4, it all came together. And as I mentioned, he's hoping to do more of the same, double down here in Paso Robles. It would mean a lot to the team because the team based just about a half an hour south of Paso Robles in San Luis Obispo. Out on the road, Saxo Bank and Columbia High Road doing their best to work together, as are most of the teams. They want this sprint finish to be that way. Well, we just saw Bob Stapleton in the piece, and Bob welcomes us now in the booth. Hello. It's been an interesting start to the year. Unfortunately, yesterday, Kim Kierken goes down. How's he feeling?
Well, you know, a little bit of a tragedy for us with Kim Kierken. He broke his clavicle and his scapula. So we're actually working even today on what's the best course of medical treatment. He may miss the Spring Classics, but we think he'll be back in good form for the tour. So a lot of work there to do, but really missing Kim already in the lineup.
But your man from the Isle of Man delivered as he did so many times in 2008 yesterday. You had to be pleased.
Well, I just like to see the way the team came back from, not the best sprint effort the day before. First time we'd had Mark Renshaw leading out Mark, and they got a little separated in the sprint, but they regrouped, figured out what they could do better, and came back and executed. So very proud of that.
Taking a look at that Columbia High Road roster, which is a who's who, Phil, aren't they, of great stars?
Yes, they are. And in fact, Bob, I think when I launched the team for you last year, I said, who's going to beat them? And not many people did they? But the thing is Cavendish going to be brought up today? Because it's beginning to look a little bit touch and go.
Well, I think this is a pretty good roll of the dice today. They still haven't caught this break. It's a very long stage today, so it's a really real tough test for Mark himself personally. This is a good stage for Hushoff, perhaps. So I think this thing is still wide open. And it's not 100% sure this is coming back.
Well, I think the important thing is there's a lot of different teams have come to the front end of the main field. It's not just Team Columbia High Road are doing the work. It's also Team Cervelo test team. They're also sending a number of guys to the front. The pace, if you look at the difference, you can actually see the difference in the speed of these leading four. We mustn't forget they've been away since the 15th kilometer of the race, and now all of a sudden in the peloton they are not going below 50 kilometers an hour. I've been having this little ding-dong battle with Phil over the last 20 Ks or so, and I've told Phil that I'm absolutely certain that these four guys are going to get caught.
Well, Bob will only agree with you.
Hey, Bob, how anxious do you get in the off season, with all the work that you do behind the scenes, but you finally, I would think, just are happy to get racing going?
Well, yeah, I mean, I do most of my work around the off season trying to remove all the obstacles and come with all the best ideas we can to improve. This is where I get nervous now, is when they're on the bike and you never know what exactly is going to happen. This is a remarkable sport in that, there's every bit of drama you can imagine. It's on city streets, it's on the roads, it's in the weather, and almost anything can happen on any given stage. It's really quite exciting to see them thundering toward the line here.
And speaking of the weather, you dialed some up for us today, didn't you, near your headquarters?
Well, I'm just glad the California weather finally showed itself. I was getting tired of explaining to everybody that, no, it really is beautiful and sunny here. That wore a little thin, I think, for some of the Europeans the last few days.
You're right.
Just very quickly, Bob, we've all seen the internet talking about, as we watch here, there's a bit of a push in here. And there we are, breakaway going at the front again now, and this is the sort of move we expect. Now, this might endanger, of course, the chance of Cav getting up. What I was about to discuss with you, Bob, is the net talking about Mark Cavendish being arrogant. Now, you're talking to two biased guys here, live very close to where Mark was brought up, so we know which side we're on. But he's not arrogant at all, is he?
Not at all. His feet are firmly on the ground. This is a kid who, hasn't bought the Ferrari. He still lives on the Isle of Man, and he's very focused on what he can do to improve himself. So while he seems brash and cocky, what he really is a very thoughtful young man who's looking for how he can better himself. So he looks hard at his own conduct, on what he can do to improve athletically, and as a leader in the team. And I think he's an ideal temperament, but is sometimes misunderstood.
One thing that while Bob was talking there, which we may not have noticed, but in fact I noticed, they've just pulled all the team cars out of the gap, and that's an indication that gap has come down to the 1 minute mark, and it's coming back very quickly indeed. And this is Ivan Basso now struggling at the back end of the group, and the reason for that is they've really put the hammer down at the front end of the peloton. This is why, as a leader and a man who's riding in the top 10 or 15 places in the overall classification, you must never slip further back than 25th place.
Well, Bob, you've done a great job. That goes without saying with Columbia High Road. Mark Cavendish always talks, as do the other riders, about the camaraderie of the team, and I know that was something that you put an emphasis on right when you brought them all together.
Well, for us, it doesn't matter what your passport says or what your pedigree is. So when you come to our team, you come to work together toward mutual success. And I'm really proud of the way the guys have done that. And guys like Hincapie really set the bar high on leadership and personal conduct. And that kind of leadership on the bike is priceless for our team.
Well, we've talked a lot, of course, the past couple days about Mark Cavendish, but you've also got another rider, Mick Rogers, who's back from injury that you expect great things from as well. Well, we are coming to the final stages of stage number 5. Thank you, Bob, very much for joining us. I know we'll spend a lot of time with you over the year here on Versus. A few more moments to go. before the end of stage 5. When we come back, we're going to bring you the finish and what we think will be a sprint across the line. Another day for the sprinters, perhaps their last one of the Amgen Tour of California. Not too many tight turns today, but the speed will be high. Paul Sherwen's crystal ball is rarely wrong, and today will be no exception. It was a break of 6 who were away most of the day. It was then whittled down to 4, but now they are looking over their shoulders because guess what? The peloton is charging, led by all the sprinters' teams. They have absolutely forced the pace, and now with only a few kilometers to go, they are all together, guys.
We're looking down at the workhorses here. These are the 4 who are still giving it their best shot, but they're coming inch by inch, and there they are now. They're going to catch him almost in sight of the line here, the way they're coming on them. Chance to reorganize for the sprinters? I'm not so sure.
Well, they need to get themselves organized very quickly at the front end of the main field. The heroes of the day who are in that 6-man leading group have now resigned themselves to being caught by the peloton, and we will start to see some organization at the front end. A little last dig over on the right-hand side there from the man from Ouch, Cam Evans, but this is really just prolonging the agony or prolonging the time that he's on the television cameras, because the main field have done the job they wanted to do. They've pulled it all back together. As they say in Italian, gruppo compacto.
Yes, and they were at whatever kilometres to go that sign says on the right of the road, but unfortunately we can't read it from the wrong side. But I'd like to know exactly where they are, but they're not very far. We think they are 5 kilometres or 3 miles from the finish, so that's plenty of time to try and reset the situation.
Those sprinters teams, as expected, move to the front, but also you can see the yellow helmet of the Team Astana rider, Lance Armstrong. As expected, Paul, Astana keeping Levi Leipheimer well protected near the front of that group.
Well, Astana and Levi Leipheimer do not want to get involved in the dangerous maneuvers of sprinting at the end of a bike race like this. They just want to stay at the front to make sure that they keep themselves out of danger. I noticed the Schleck brothers were all over the front end of the main field. Both Frank and Andy Schleck were very happy to set the tempo. That obviously means they've had the nod from their Argentinian sprinter JJ Haedo that he's got the form this afternoon. A little move down the left-hand side, that the lime green jerseys of Team Liquigas, will they get it right for their man Francesco Chicchi here this afternoon? Into town now. We're starting to really wind up from the sprint. This is the moment when it's really nervous if you're a sprinter. You're just trying to make sure that you're in the front end of the main field. Michael Barry in front of Lance Armstrong. Armstrong, he isn't thinking about the sprint here this afternoon. He's just thinking about keeping out of danger. Boom, there's a move.
And listen, an attack here that's gone from Floyd Landis' team. He's got the style of Floyd Landis too, the way he's jumped away, but I don't think Floyd's got this sort of speed.
I think he has.
I'll take it all back. Yes, he has. That's Floyd Landis who's just gone.
103 is the number from Ouch. That's actually Tim Johnson, guys. But you're right. Looked a lot like a move Floyd Landis would make. And this will throw the chase a bit in disarray. But, Paul, exactly when do these teams need to set up and form those lines to help their sprinter out?
They really need to do it about now. They want to make sure and keep the pace high so that there aren't any of these little moves going off the front end of the peloton. That is Jens Voigt, though, who's going out of the front end of the main field. Now, he is somebody who could really and utterly throw the cat amongst the pigeons and spoil the day for the sprinters.
This is a good move by Tim Johnson. He is a very, very similar bike rider to Jens Voigt, aggressive in the closing kilometres. This could be a good tandem to get going. It might upset the rhythm and preparation of the others as well. Jens probably trying to disrupt the peloton in favour of his teammate still, JJ Haedo. But even so, we never get far in a race without seeing Jens Voigt in front of the cameras. And it is the Liquigas boys who are turning the screw now. So they're trying to set this up again for Chicchi today.
I love the style of Jens Voigt. He looks like he should really be a boxer or a cage wrestler. He's all over his machine now. They've got themselves a gap of around about 4 or 5 seconds. But the main field is getting themselves organised now. But which is the team that will take the responsibility of the final charge into the line?
Another person bridging up to that front group. Perhaps it'll stay 4, but it looks as though Voigt, no, it's going to be the peloton closing again, driven by Columbia High Road.
Yeah, it looks like Michael Barry. I think, no, it's an Astana ride also behind Michael there. They've closed the gap, so they've got them all back together. Now, again, this is not an easy sprint to win. You can see the British flag flying there. It's right across the course now.
Leipheimer up in about 6th position. The only reason that Levi Leipheimer is moving up there is to make sure he keeps himself completely and utterly out of danger. Little acceleration there now coming from Jaroslav Popovic just to close the gap down, to keep the whole of the main field contact.
That's that right turn we talked about, guys. 3 kilometers to go. It now becomes 1 kilometer stretches.
Well, there's the banner then for 3 kilometers across the road. And the field is once again back together again now, and a little easing, because look further down the peloton, reshuffling of the riders. They try to move the men forward quickly.
Well, that black line of riders over on the left-hand side, that's Cervelo test team. They're moving their man Thor Hushovd up to the front. Now it's the time when Team High Road Columbia are taking responsibility. Look at that. There are 2 teams of sprinters lined up side by side. The black jerseys are Cervelo test team. The yellow jerseys are, in fact, Columbia High Road. That is George Hincapie, who brought his men up to the front.
Well, Cervelo have had a great start to their new season. Their first ever as a pro team. They're winning all over the world right now. They've won here too with Thor Hushovd, the boys in black on the right. But I think now Team Columbia's got control of this on the left. Here comes the big lead out now. Is he going to deliver Cavendish to the line? He's released him again, Mark Renshaw, and he's put him in the right place. Nobody's going to get up to Cav here, but Bonan's going to give it his best shot. Is Bonan going to get the best on the line now? But Cavendish is just too quick.
Well, that's it. He's got it in his legs there, and have a check out of the speed there. He went of over 40 miles an hour once again. He was delivered to the line perfectly by his man, Mark Renshaw. He reckons that Mark Renshaw is one of the best lead-out men he's ever had in the sport, and he really is happy. That was a superb deliverance to the line by Team Columbia. Tom Boonen was in the absolute right position there to try and come past the Cav man, but certainly he just could not get out of his slipstream here this afternoon.
Columbia High Road delivers yet again, just 30 minutes north of their headquarters. Many riders still making their way in because, as you said, guys, the peloton got split with that huge gasp to bring the leaders back. But it was the train, and Mark Renshaw in particular, Phil, who set up Cavendish perfectly.
Renshaw is a magic rider. He comes from a track background where it's a very busy traffic on a small bowl in the velodromes. So he put him in the right place at the right time, dropped him off, as Cavendish no doubt will say, and all he had to do was win the stage. He made better time on that one too. Bonan really wasn't getting up to him there, and he didn't slow down the line, so it was quite a big win margin.
Yeah, it was a huge advantage, and again, you have to say he will thank his team profusely this evening about the fact that they got him to the right place. They chased down. You had all of the team were involved in the victory there this afternoon, because I have to say Adam Hansen and Michael Barry did a serious job of work at 50 and 60 kilometers to go, and then it was over to the hands of George Hincapie and Renshaw, and all Cavendish had to do basically was finish it off, which he did in great shape.
Mark Cavendish making up for last year where they took a win away. He now has 2 going back-to-back here in California. What a year it's already been for Mark Cavendish. His 4th win of the year, 2 already in the Tour of Qatar, and now 2 here in California, Paul.
Yes, and I have to think that he's probably got himself for the lead in the points classification as well. Just look at the acceleration here as Cavendish comes by as lead-out man, and all of a sudden it looked as if he had a long way to go to the finish line. He looks over his shoulder there to see that right there is Tom Boonen. The 2 of them are actually faster than anybody else in this bike race there, and as he crosses the line, he knows on this occasion that he's got it completely and utterly right. Boonen will get 2nd place there. Hushovd failed a little bit this afternoon and probably crossed the line in 4th or 5th place. Cavendish winning by an easy bicycle length, and I'm not quite sure who came across the line. Kiki was in the top 5, as was Thor Hushovd.
Looked like a Rabobank rider, Phil, would try to swing wider than Bonan, but didn't get it done.
I'd have to guess that was Pedro Horillo.
Yeah. Cavendish pointing, saying, absolutely, today's another day for Columbia High Road. Perfectly placed by his team once again, and it seemed as, just having Bob Stapleton here, he's probably going to want to be in the booth with us every day. Good luck charms, perhaps, for his squad, but really no luck needed for Mark Cavendish. He's got all the skills any biker could want.
And at just 23 years of age, I think that's what's remarkable about this young man. He's been a world champion. In fact, I think he's still current world Madison champion until the World Track Championships comes up in around about a couple of weeks' time. But certainly, he's a man with a great future.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
It may be wine country here in Paso Robles, but the champagne is certainly going to fly and flow tonight for Team Columbia High Road. What a couple days it has been after missing their setup in Stage 3. Now it's been 2 perfect days in the sun. We'll come back with podiums after this. The 2009 Amgen Tour of California on Versus is brought to you by AEG, giving the world reason to cheer. By EAS, don't waste your workout, finish it with EAS Myoplex. By Amgen, Amgen pioneering science delivers vital medicines. Visit us at amgen.com. And by Rabobank. Rabobank, ride safe, bank safe. The owner of Columbia High Road, Bob Stapleton, was in our booth earlier. He said nervous moments for him every time his team comes towards the line. He needn't be worried today because for the second day in a row, his riders deliver. The fastest man on 2 wheels, Mark Cavendish, to a stage win. For the second day also in a row, Tom Boonen finishes in second, but it was by far a larger margin today. No one can match Cavendish's speed, power, or acceleration. The debate will go on. Is the man cocky or is he just plain gifted? Well, at this point, who cares? Because Mark Cavendish shows us every time he goes for the line, if his team puts him in the proper position, he has delivered already his 4th stage win of the season. He won stages 4 and 6 at the Tour of Qatar in February, at the beginning of February. And now it's the Amgen Tour of California. He takes stage 4 and 5. These are the back markers right here.
Interesting line. Palmer crossing the line in 15th place here, taking no chances, staying up front at the sharp end. Armstrong not far away from him there in 19th. Zabriskie, who lies 3rd overall, finishes 16th. See, they're not taking any risk, even in the bunch sprints. They're not trying to win, but they're trying to keep out of any touchy wheels and a silly fall. It's the right way to go.
Or a split on the run-in towards the finish, which nearly caught out Ivan Basso, who really had to struggle to stay in contact with the main field. I have to say, that is a phenomenal crowd that's turned out here to see the prize presentation.
5 hours plus in the saddle, a long day, as we have mentioned. This was the longest mileage that these men are going to see at the Amgen Tour of California. Now it's time for the podiums. The first honor, of course, Phil, will go to the man in yellow, Levi Leipheimer.
Yes, he'll receive the race lead again. He's had it for 4 days now. He's got 3 days ahead of him. Time trial tomorrow. And tough days, I must say they are. But it's his speciality, the time trial tomorrow. Let's have a look at that sprint again, Paul, because it was worth seeing.
Well, you can see the acceleration. Locked into the slipstream there is Tom Boonen, and he was just waiting for the moment to come by, but he just didn't have the power to get by Mark Cavendish here this afternoon. And Pedro Horillo, the man who normally leads out Oscar Freire, got himself 3rd place for Team Rabobank.
From the United States.
Yes.
Massive crowds yet again. We've talked about how the crowds braved the elements early on in the Amgen Tour of California. Now they are being rewarded just like the riders. A fun day at the expos around the park here in Paso Robles. And there is Levi Leipheimer. A salute yet again. A very confident, I would say, Levi, Paul, going into one of his specialities tomorrow, the time trial.
Well, he knows this individual time trial extremely well. He's won on that same course before, and he will know just exactly what he has to do tomorrow. But he will try and get away from the prize presentation as quickly as possible to get all the recuperation and rest necessary to come out fighting tomorrow, and he will start last man in that individual time trial. A course of 15 miles and a course which will take him for about 4 miles on the flat. Then they've got a very difficult course going uphill, technical descent, and then a fast run into the finish in the very interesting town of Solvang.
Looks as though the weather is going to hold as well. Sun expected tomorrow, and then there was perhaps rain in the forecast, but now it just looks like partly cloudy, so perhaps the rain has left us for the rest of our time here. Leipheimer overall still 24 seconds in front. David Zabriskie sitting in 3rd. Lance Armstrong in 4th. Horner in 5th. Astana still incredibly well placed in the top 10. They have 5 riders in the top 10. Let's send it down once again to the leader, Levi Leipheimer, who's with Bob.
How does my head look, Levi?
It's a little spotty.
Really hard.
I'll give you some tips.
Okay. Really hard date, and a bit of a crosswind battle in the finale there, and it looked like some nervous moments coming into town. A hard chase down of the breakaway.
Yeah, it was a long day, really fast day, and at the end, a lot of teams pulling, so it was the speed was super high, and we thought maybe one of the contenders was caught in the back a little bit, so it was the race was really on there at the finish. But you know, it was, all in all, it was a really uneventful day, and it was a good day for tomorrow, to prepare for tomorrow.
Tomorrow, rendezvous with destiny, another time trial. Last year coming into this stage, it looked as if Cancellara had done enough to keep himself close. Mick Rogers in a similar situation, but last year you were able to overcome. How are you feeling for tomorrow's stage?
I feel good. You know, I felt great this whole race, and as long as I feel that way, I'm pretty confident about keeping the lead.
All right, Levi, best of luck.
Thank you.
We've talked about Cavendish's confidence, but Paul, Levi's got some confidence of his own.
Well, he has, but this is what Mark Cavendish has been looking for. This is the tunic which celebrates the best sprinter in the race, and I think with two stage victories under his belt, Mark Cavendish certainly deserves that title.
Yes, and he certainly has done that today. 2 wins in a row. Cav is always happy to be a leader, and just looks out at the crowd here. And he's now the Herbalife points leader, which he might defend, he might not. It could still go the way of a climber, this, with what's left on this year's Amgen Tour of California. He won't score tomorrow in the time trial, and I don't think he'll score the next 2 days in the high mountains, although the mountains are not the final finish line. We do come off them and race to the bottom. Who knows? It all depends.
Let's send it down to Bob once again. This time he's standing by with Mark Cavendish.
2 chances, 2 wins for you in a row. There's only been 3 sprint stages so far, and maybe this was the last chance for the sprinters. Did that give you some extra motivation for today's stage?
Oh, absolutely. You know, yesterday didn't expect a sprint. I said yesterday that I was expecting to be a sprint today, and today was the stage I was targeting since we got here, and yeah, it worked out perfect. The guys worked so well for us. It was touch and go whether we were going to get the break back, but you see more teams came and worked, and the guys did a superb job. And then once again, you know, George and Mark Renshaw, there's no way, when I get dropped off at 200 in that position, there's no way I can lose after the work they did. So
it seems as if the peloton went in 2 different directions setting up the sprint. You had a little bit of a better lead out there, perhaps.
There was so many lead outs, just a battle of the lead outs, really. You know, there's also Quick Step, Liquid Gas, Cervelo, and yeah, fortunately we came up top, you know, and it bodes well for the rest of the season. We got a top team here, you know. We got a similar team that we're going with the Tour, and I think if you look at the performance there, I think the Tour de France will be a force to be reckoned with again. So.
Well, congratulations again, and good luck in the future.
Thanks, Bob.
Interesting that Cavendish already telegraphing towards the Tour de France in July. As well he should. The Columbia High Road team, absolutely, their arsenal is stacked. Here's a look at what we're going to be seeing tomorrow on the Solvang time trial. 15 miles up and back in the city of Solvang. The riders will head north and then come back down. Not much elevation, although the riders have said that you can feel it in your legs. Well, Solvang will be the backdrop for that 15-mile TT, the Race of Truth, live on Versus at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific, and then our encore presentation at 11 p.m. Eastern on tomorrow. The day started in Visalia under sunny skies. Once again, Tyler Hamilton in that breakaway from cancer jersey. The riders enjoyed a leisurely start, but as it always seems, the conversation eventually turned to who would get a chance at the line. Andy Schleck and Mark Cavendish joking a bit out there. 6 men would get out in front, but the peloton would time it perfectly. Through the cattle fields and the oil fields of Kern, King, and San Luis Obispo County, was not much elevation at all. That allowed the pace to be high, as well as the emotion, because when they came into town, it was all about the lead-outs and the sprinters' teams. For the 2nd day in a row, Mark Cavendish delivers, but tomorrow it could be Levi Leipheimer's turn to wrap up his 3rd Amgen Tour of California. For Bob Roll, Phil Liggett, and Paul Sherwen, I'm Craig Hummer.